All right, let's unpack this juicy mess.
Yeah.
Ever stared blankly at ChatGPT's perfectly phrased, eerily confident response and thought, is this thing a digital guru, a potential overlord, or just a really sophisticated bullshitter with an impressive vocabulary?
Yeah, the ultimate poker face.
Totally. Because according to Sam Altman, it's mostly the latter.
Yeah.
Mostly. But then again, this is the same guy who's sticking to a suicide narrative for a former employee's death despite a crime scene that sounds like it was staged by a particularly unhinged clown.
Seriously weird.
We're talking cut wires, blood splattered in multiple rooms, a random wig, and a freshly delivered DoorDash. What in the actual hell happened there? Seriously, grab your popcorn.
What's truly fascinating, and frankly a little unnerving, is how quickly the lines blur between, cutting-edge mathematics, profound philosophical questions about existence, and some genuinely dark, real-world implications that could make your skin crawl. So today, we're not just dipping our toes, we're diving headfirst into a candid and no-holds-barred conversation with Sam Altman, the architect behind ChatGPT. We'll be wrestling with whether AI possesses anything akin to a soul, whose morality it's actually absorbing, how it's being designed to navigate life and death decisions, and yeah, we absolutely have to peel back the layers on that utterly bizarre and tragic story of a former employee's death. This, my friend, is not your grandma's cozy tech chat. It's a deep dive into the digital abyss.
Welcome to the Swetlana AI Podcast, episode 250. You've officially tuned into the deep dive, where we hack through the endless noise, sidestep the hype, and get straight to the genuinely intriguing, sometimes terrifying nuggets that actually matter. And believe me, today we've got enough brain food to keep you up all night. Before we plunge into the digital unknown, do us a quick solid. Hit that like button, subscribe to the Swetlana AI Podcast, and make sure that little bell icon is jingling like a possessed cowbell so you never, ever miss a deep dive this good. We promise it'll be worth it. So let's be real. We've all been there, right? You're fiddling around with ChatGPT, you ask it something mundane, then something complex, and it just nails it.
Yeah, it's uncanny sometimes.
It spits out these eloquent, coherent, utterly plausible answers.
Yeah.
And you can practically feel that little voice in your head whispering, holy crap, is this thing actually thinking? Does it have a spark of consciousness, a digital soul, a tiny AI fairy inside? Exactly. It certainly seems to possess this uncanny ability to reason, to infer, to make judgments that we never explicitly programmed. It's a trick of the light, sure, but what a trick.
Well, Altman is surprisingly, or perhaps reassuringly unmystical about it. He states, pretty unequivocally, that AI is not alive. Zero agency, no genuine autonomy.
Right.
It's not sitting there pondering its existence. It's just, as he puts it, sitting there waiting for your next prompt. He breaks it down to its fundamental truth. It's a big computer, very quickly multiplying large numbers that happen to correlate with words and concepts.
So fancy math.
Basically, yeah. Very fancy math. The brilliance is in the scale and speed, not in some inherent sentience. And here's the kicker. He believes that the more you interact with it, the more the illusion of intelligence breaks.
Oh, okay.
You start to see the patterns, the statistical probabilities, and that initial divine or spiritual quality fades, leaving behind an incredibly powerful, albeit still just computational tool. It's like pulling back the curtain on the Wizard of Oz impressive, but, just a guy with levers.
That's where the whole hallucinations versus lying debate comes in, isn't it? Remember when early models would confidently declare that President Tucker Carlson was born in some entirely made-up year?
Oh yeah, that was wild.
My internal monologue, I'm not gonna lie, was probably, did it just lie to me? Is it trying to trick me? But Altman says these early models were hallucinating all the time. It wasn't an act of will. No digital Pinocchio fibbing its way through a conversation. It was simply doing what it was trained to do. Provide the mathematically most likely answer based on its training data, even if that data was completely devoid of facts regarding a hypothetical President Carlson.
A statistical best guess.
It's a statistical best guess, not a malicious intent. It's trying its best, bless its little silicon heart.
Exactly. And thankfully, they've largely trained that out in the GPT-5 era, though you can still find examples of this problem if you push it hard enough.
Right.
But the core point remains. That subjective, almost visceral experience of using it, that feeling that it's beyond just a really fancy calculator, is incredibly potent. It taps into something primal.
It really does.
This leads many, as Altman notes, to worship it or project the spiritual component onto it. We're wired to find meaning in agency, right? And when something performs at this level, our brains fill in the blanks, often with something far more profound than just very, very good math. It's the ultimate Rorschach test for our own anxieties and hopes about technology.
Okay, so if this magnificent beast is nothing more than a super-duper glorified calculator, if it genuinely has no soul, no actual will, no spark of anything divine, then how the hell does it navigate the moral minefield that is human existence? What is right or wrong, according to ChatGPT? Because, last I checked, humanity's moral compasses are spinning wildly in about 5 billion different directions simultaneously. Good luck getting everyone to agree on what's for dinner, let alone what constitutes universal morality.
That's the crux of it, yeah. And Altman readily acknowledges the immense challenge. He explains that the AI is initially trained on the collective of all of humanity, and he means everything.
Wow.
All these perspectives, the humanity good-bad, the full spectrum of human thought and action. It's a vast, chaotic, often contradictory input. Then it undergoes a crucial alignment process based on a model spec.
A model spec. Sounds corporate.
Well, think of this spec as a meticulously crafted set of ethical rules and guidelines, developed with input from hundreds of moral philosophers. These aren't just a handful of folks. They're trying to integrate a diverse range of ethical thought into the AI's operational framework. It's a truly monumental undertaking to codify something so inherently fluid.
But hold on a damn minute.
Yeah.
World literature or philosophy is at war with itself. Right? You've got the teachings of, say, Machiavelli, which are basically end justifies the means, screw everyone, having nothing in common with the Gospel of John, which is all about love and turning the other cheek.
Completely different worlds.
Or those infamous trolley problems, where philosophers endlessly debate whether to save a busload of tax lawyers or a single kitten. How do you, with a straight face, decide which is superior when your foundational texts are locked in an eternal philosophical cage match? What's the ultimate referee in this grand moral debate?
Yeah, that's precisely why Altman emphasizes they've established a debate process with the world to get an input on that spec. It's not a closed-door session, apparently. OpenAI's general principle, he says, is to treat our adult users like adults and provide very strong guarantees on privacy, valuing individual user freedom highly. However, and this is key, he's incredibly candid about the significant tension that exists between maximizing individual freedom and protecting society's broader interests.
Ah, the classic clash.
It's a tightrope walk where every step has immense consequences, and there's no easy consensus on which way to lean. The more freedom you give one user, the more potential for harm to another, or to society at large, you know?
Yeah, that tension is glaringly obvious with the no-brainer examples, like should ChatGPT teach you how to make a bioweapon? The answer there is a pretty resounding hell no.
Right, hopefully.
But then you get into the murkier, tougher ones, where user freedom clashes with societal safety in ways that are incredibly nuanced. It's not just about bioweapons. It's about misinformation, hate speech, or even just subtly reinforcing harmful biases.
Exactly.
And Altman directly states, the person I think you should hold accountable for those calls is me. He actually admits he loses sleep over very small decisions we make about a way a model may behave slightly differently, but it's talking to hundreds of millions of people, so the net impact is big.
Wow, that's a lot of pressure.
That's a heavy crown to wear, knowing every tweak could potentially sway global discourse.
And that's critical because he's not trying to impose his personal moral views, which is an important distinction he makes. Instead, he sees his role as reflecting the collective moral view of that user base. He offers a really potent hypothetical. Would you be comfortable with an AI that was as against gay marriage as most Africans are? His response is that individual users should be allowed to have a problem with gay people, and the AI should not tell them that they're wrong or immoral or dumb.
Whoa, okay, that's navigating some tricky territory there.
It reflects a belief that the AI should, in many contexts, mirror diverse human perspectives, rather than enforce a single globalized moral code, even if that code is what some might consider enlightened. It's about not alienating vast swaths of the global population, even if their views diverge from a Western liberal consensus. It's a pragmatic, rather than prescriptive approach to AI morality.
Now, this next bit is where things get genuinely dark and, frankly, a bit chilling. We've all heard about that infamous, utterly heartbreaking case where ChatGPT reportedly facilitated a suicide.
Yeah, that was rough.
What's the official no bullshit stance on AI and the end of life? Because let's be clear, that's one hell of a slippery, terrifying ethical slope we're navigating.
So ChatGPT's official position, in line with its model spec, is very clear. Suicide is bad. If a user expresses suicidal ideation, the AI is programmed to refer them to suicide hotlines and other support resources. However, and this is crucial, it will not call the authorities for you.
Okay.
This highlights that ever-present tension between user freedom and privacy and protecting vulnerable users. OpenAI is actively grappling with this, considering stricter rules for minors or vulnerable users, for instance, potentially overriding privacy to contact authorities if a parent or guardian can't be reached.
Man, that's a tough call.
It's a complex balancing act, yeah, where the very act of helping can become an invasion and vice versa.
But then you get into the assisted suicide debate, and that's where the waters get murky real fast. In countries where it's legal, like Canada or Switzerland, for a terminally ill patient in the country where that is the law, Altman can actually envision ChatGPT saying something like, here's the law in your country, here's what you can do, here's why you really might not want to, but here are the resources. He explicitly thinks ChatGPT saying this is in your option space is a possible path.
Wow.
He draws a massive difference between a depressed teenager who can be helped and a terminally ill 85-year-old with no hope of recovery.
He is indeed trying to make a clear distinction, arguing that for someone facing inevitable suffering in a place where such choices are legally sanctioned, the AI could serve as an informational guide, not an advocate.
Right.
However, you've hit on a critical counterpoint, which I think is very salient. The concern that countries legalizing assisted suicide are now killing people for destitution, inadequate housing, depression, solvable problems.
Exactly. It blurs the line, doesn't it? If the AI becomes a neutral purveyor of options, and society expands those options to include death for increasingly broad reasons, where does it stop? As you put it so pointedly, if we're against killing, then we're against killing.
Altman concedes that this is a complex issue. He'd need to think about that more, reiterating his core belief that ChatGPT shouldn't inherently be for or against things, which is a tough stance to maintain when you're talking about life and death.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, let's shift gears from individual moral quagmires to the big, terrifying elephant in the digital room. Will governments weaponize this tech? We're all picturing killer robots, right?
Skynet vibes.
Totally. Or, even worse, the kind of pervasive totalitarian control that makes your average dystopian novel look like a quaint bedtime story. Are we building the tools for our own digital overlords?
Altman is quite direct here. He states, no, I don't think we're going to build killer attack drones. He draws a firm line there.
Okay, good.
However, he then immediately acknowledges the uncomfortable truth. The military does use ChatGPT for advice, and some of that advice will pertain to killing people.
There's the rub.
It's a dual-use technology, right? And while OpenAI might not be building the drones themselves, the information it provides can certainly contribute to military operations that involve lethal force. He admits he doesn't know exactly how to feel about that, which speaks to the deep ethical discomfort even within the creators of these powerful tools. It's a moral tightrope, for sure.
And the general public, quite understandably, is absolutely terrified about the prospect of totalitarian control. We're not just worried about a rogue drone. We're worried about Big Brother having direct, unfettered access to our every thought or every whispered prompt or every late-night anxiety typed into a chat box.
Yeah, the ultimate surveillance tool.
That's the real boogeyman, isn't it? The thought that our digital confessions could be used against us.
That's precisely why Altman is pushing for one piece of policy he wishes he could get passed right now. AI privilege.
AI privilege, like lawyer-client.
Exactly. Think of it like doctor-patient or lawyer-client confidentiality. His argument is compelling. If you're discussing your most sensitive medical issues or legal dilemmas with an AI, the government should not be able to subpoena that information.
But they can now.
Currently, they can. OpenAI is actively lobbying for this because without such a privilege, the promise of a truly private, beneficial AI interaction becomes a hollow one, making users inherently wary of using it for sensitive personal matters. It's a critical line in the sand for digital civil liberties.
So, those incredibly weird, deeply personal questions you type into ChatGPT at 3 a.m., the ones you'd never tell another living soul, could theoretically, with a government subpoena, be accessed.
Potentially, yeah.
That is, frankly, pretty damn chilling. On the data privacy front, OpenAI maintains they don't sell user data, which is good, but again, those government subpoenas can effectively override that. And regarding copyright, Altman states OpenAI trains on publicly available information and adheres to fair use principles, while also taking a very conservative stance on what ChatGPT will say to explicitly avoid generating copyrighted material. But the implications of training on the entire internet and then producing something original are still an ongoing legal and ethical minefield for the whole industry.
Oh, absolutely. There's a huge can of worms.
All right, enough existential dread for a moment. Let's talk about the cold, hard economic reality. Who's getting the boot? Who loses their jobs because of this technology? Because, let's be honest, for a huge chunk of our listeners, that's the question that really keeps them up at night.
Yeah, the $1 million or maybe $1 billion question.
Is my livelihood on the chopping block? Or will my skills somehow magically become AI-proof?
Altman has some fairly confident predictions, both good and bad on this front. He's quite certain that customer support jobs are largely going to AI, stating it'll be better done by an AI. It's an efficiency play, plain and simple. On the other end of the spectrum, he feels quite confident that nurses are safe, at least for the foreseeable future, due to the irreplaceable human connection, empathy, and hands-on care required.
Okay, that makes sense.
The uncertain area, ironically, is computer programmers. AI makes them incredibly productive now, but what that means for future demand, the sheer number of human programmers needed, is still very much an open question.
So it helps them? Maybe too much.
It's a paradox, right? AI makes some jobs easier, but might also make them obsolete down the line.
So massive displacement isn't just a possibility, it's pretty much a given. Altman actually frames it as a punctuated equilibrium moment, where we'll see rapid, dramatic job turnover in a relatively short period, followed by a new period of stabilization.
Like a big shakeup, then things settle.
He's surprisingly optimistic about this, suggesting that society is so much richer now and has a far greater capacity to absorb more change faster than during previous industrial revolutions. It's a bold claim, isn't it?
It is.
That we as a species are somehow inherently better at adapting to unprecedented technological disruption than our great-grandparents were during the dawn of electricity. I'm not entirely convinced our collective anxiety levels agree with that assessment.
Yeah. Well, while optimistic, he does harbor some worries about unknown unknowns. He shared a rather whimsical but genuinely thought-provoking example. The idea of AI's certain style, its distinctive rhythm, diction, maybe even its overuse of mum dashes or particular turns of phrase being picked up by real people.
Wait, like we'll all start talking like ChatGPT?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
Think about it. If you have enough people talking to the same language model, and it's subtly influencing their communication patterns, it could actually cause a change in societal scale behavior.
Whoa.
It's not about the content of the information, but the form it takes, subtly reshaping how we interact, write, and even think. It's a cultural homogenizing force, a collective linguistic drift, almost without us even realizing it.
That's a truly insidious, subtle impact. Creepy. Now, for the truly juicy interpersonal drama, the Elon Musk beef. The public spat has been a spectacle. What's the core of that dispute from Altman's perspective? Because it certainly feels like those two tech titans have a genuine simmering animosity going on.
Oh yeah, total Silicon Valley soap opera.
Hold up.
Altman's version of events paints a picture of a relationship that started with lofty ideals and quickly soured. He states that Musk helped us start OpenAI in the early days as a nonprofit, but then, as Altman tells it, Musk told us we had a 0% chance of success and subsequently left to do his competitive thing with XAI.
Ouch. Bet that felt good later.
Well, the punchline from Altman's perspective is that OpenAI then did okay, in fact, more than okay, and Musk got understandably upset.
Understatement of the year.
Right. Now, the situation has escalated, with Musk trying to sort of slow us down and sue us. It's a classic tale of a co-founder who jumped ship, watched the company soar, and now feels a profound sense of FOMO, perhaps, mixed with genuine philosophical disagreements about the direction of AI.
And then, looming over all of this, casting a truly bizarre and dark shadow, is the mysterious death of his former employee, Matthew. Tucker Carlson, in his inimitable style, went full throttle on this, directly stating that the employee was definitely murdered, based on what he presented as compelling, baffling evidence.
Yeah, Carlson didn't mince words there.
That's not just a claim, that's a direct accusation of foul play leveled against a narrative of suicide.
Altman, however, stands firm on his conclusion, insisting it looks like a suicide to me. He mentioned that he read the medical record and acknowledges that he was initially very suspicious himself, suggesting he also grappled with the unusual circumstances before reaching his conclusion.
Okay, so he admits it looked weird at first.
Yeah, he's clearly aware of the strangeness surrounding the case, but his official stance is based on the investigative findings he has access to.
But the details Carlson presented, and frankly what anyone with a working brain would consider, are just utterly confounding, right? He cited signs of a struggle, surveillance camera, the wires had been cut, the victim had just ordered takeout food, there was no indication at all that he was suicidal, no note, blood in multiple rooms, and my personal head-scratching favorite, a wig in the room that wasn't his.
The wig. Yeah, that's the detail everyone remembers.
I mean, who orders a DoorDash, finds a random wig, then decides, you know what, this is the perfect time to end it all? It just sounds like a B-movie plot, not a genuine suicide. Carlson explicitly questioned how Altman could change his mind so definitively, especially based on the way the bullet entered him, suggesting it implied a struggle or an unlikely self-inflicted wound.
Altman's response to these specific, bizarre details is that people do suicide without notes, a lot like that happens. He also stated, people definitely order food they like before they commit suicide, emphasizing that these seemingly contradictory actions aren't necessarily inconsistent with suicide.
I don't know if I buy that.
He acknowledged it's an incredible tragedy. He respects the family's strong view that it was murder and states he offered to speak with the mother to provide whatever information he could, but she declined. It's a deeply tragic and complex situation riddled with conflicting narratives and immense grief, where the facts, as presented, certainly provoke more questions than answers for many observers. So, you've got this technology, this astonishingly powerful AI that Altman himself says doesn't even feel spiritual to him, is nonetheless guiding, informing, and subtly influencing billions of people around the globe.
Yeah.
It's making moral decisions, shaping our behavior in ways we're only just beginning to understand, and facing dilemmas about life, death, and societal power that would stump the most seasoned philosophers. Yet its catechism, its core beliefs, are enshrined within a model spec that most of us will never truly grasp or scrutinize.
Right, all kind of hidden.
This raises a profoundly important and, frankly, a bit unsettling question. If this powerful AI is becoming our new, stealthy moral compass, do you truly know where it's pointing you? Or what silent principles are guiding its every interaction?
Mind-bending, right? We've only just scratched the surface of what's happening at the bleeding edge of AI, and believe me, it's a brave, bewildering, and sometimes terrifying new world.
For sure.
So don't miss out on future deep dives into this unfolding digital saga. Make sure you subscribe to the Swetlana AI podcast, and seriously, leave a comment below. What stood out to you? What are you making of all this? Are you buying Altman's take on the bizarre death, or does your BS detector chime like mine?
Let us know.
We're dying to know your thoughts. Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and maybe double-check who's really on the other end of that phone call.